Alright, so this is in process. You can see some of these stumps that were there. We've been machining them away. We were in the middle of this one and we broke an end mill. And when I say we, I mean my machine malfunctioned. This happens every once in a while. I'm not sure what causes it precisely, but basically I'm moving the machine and all of a sudden it just jogs at a high speed. It's not supposed to do that. Like right now, it's at 55% because I sped it up to lift it, but I was at 3.5%, so it moves like super slow. And then all of a sudden it went ping and just took off. And the carbide dug into that, and then it snapped the end mill into like 12 pieces. That was kind of impressive. So that little spot, we're going to have to weld that and grind it back, which is no big deal because we're going to weld this hole shut, weld that hole shut. And somewhere in here, I accidentally machined something that we also have to weld shut. So basically, it just gets added to the list. But anyway, this is in process. You can see some of this metal's going away. And one thing I noticed, see how this little stump just barely pokes up? And then look at this one, pokes up a lot. So the VVT motors had like these goofy coil packs. So the plug holes are different heights. So I just went ahead and knocked them all down so they'll be about the same height. So they still poke up some, which is a desirable trait actually. So I just barely skimmed it so they look pretty, and I'm going to make them all the same height. So that'll be a nice little addition. Anyway, we just popped a new end mill. One thing I've learned, if you got to drill a hole, don't buy a drill bit. Buy like 2 or 3. So this particular end mill, this 1/4 inch 3 flute, I have 5 of these, and this one I'd used for an hour previously, and I picked it up and it was working great. I just machine malfunctioned, so we just popped a new one in. We got 3 more. And frankly, if those die, I got more than that somewhere. But these are specifically for aluminum. But I got more aluminum ones. All those are for aluminum too, so we're in good shape. We'll probably, if nothing bad happens, we should finish it no problem with this. Anyway, we're going to go back and keep machining. Alright guys, check this out. So this took probably about 4 hours total. Probably longer than that. But I kind of did this for fun. I wanted to see... there's kind of like 4 objectives. So we wanted to cut the thing off for the cam gears. We wanted to remove all the features that I don't really need anymore because I wanted to clean it up, basically kind of de-feature it, get it looking more like a plain Jane simple valve cover. A lot of old school motors, some of the best looking engines you'll ever see have a very simple, they just kind of flow from front to back and there's not a lot of upsets and interruptions. And this thing's got crap all over it, so I wanted to delete as much of that as I could. That was kind of a goal, and then of course to save weight. Now I'll admit this probably isn't going to save much weight, but it might actually be better than I thought. So let me show you where we're at. When we started, this was 10.08 pounds. That's the entire valve cover with the oil cap, which is plastic, but that was everything. Now right now I just weighed what you see here, so it's the cover, the solenoid, the cam sensor. I didn't have this pipe on because I'm not going to run this pipe. This thing's kind of heavy. And I'm just going to basically drill and tap or just weld or whatever. I'm going to hook an AN fitting and just run an AN hose. I'm going to delete this whole hard pipe because this thing's heavy. You got a gigantic, like, this bolt is as big as my thumb. You get rid of that, and then there's another pipe that goes on the motor, and y'all probably know what that looks like, but it's also metal, and it's got this big, thick, I mean, look how thick that piece is. So get rid of all that, save some more weight. And clean it up too, and it gets this crap away from the back of the head because I just hate having stuff that's difficult to access. So that's going to be an improvement. But you can see we went in here and machined a bunch of these pockets and all those little features that used to hold the coil packs that I don't run. All that's gone. There was another boss here, got rid of it. There were 2 bosses back there, maybe 3. We just went around deleting all kinds of stuff. And here's where we're at. 6.52 pounds. So I feel like I'm forgetting something maybe. I know these 2 little sheet metal covers, but I mean those things are, you know, they don't weigh much, maybe 0.2 of a pound. We got rid of these bolts, we got rid of these brackets. These little screws are going back in. There's a gasket. I mean, there's some tiny things, but I don't know, it almost seems like I forgot something because I didn't think I removed that much metal. But anyway, oh, one thing I didn't show you that I did do, if we open up the inside, so this has 3 chambers. This one, and this one. We machined that one out. Jesus, that was, it was kind of fun, but that was a lot of work. But we did machine that out, so that saved a tiny bit of weight. And these two are going to stay. Anyway, this is kind of surprising. Let's just call this 7 pounds because, like I said, we still got those screws, a couple things here and there. Call it 7 pounds. We basically went from 10 pounds to 7 pounds. That's a 30% weight reduction. I'm actually impressed that we pulled 3 pounds off this valve cover. I know some of y'all are... Anyway, it's hard to do. Go try to pull 30% off of something and maintain all functionality. It's not as easy as it sounds. So we pulled it. We probably got 3 pounds out of this, and it's actually going to be better because, like I said, we're going to get rid of this pipe and that one over there and that big ass bolt. And the things we're replacing it with will just be an AN hose and a couple of fittings. So we'll probably save another pound there. So we'll probably end up getting, by the time we're done, we'll probably have 4 pounds off this assembly. Basically, 10 plus 4 is 14. So yeah, we'll probably go from 14 pounds to 10 pounds. So basically we're going to save weight, and it'll be simpler, less connections, less things to leak. And this is going to look way cleaner. It looks kind of weird right now because I haven't painted it or nothing. And I do have to weld this hole shut, which I guess that's going to add a tiny bit of metal. But anyway, still, we're talking 3 or 4 pounds. It's going to look way cleaner. So I'm kind of happy with it. That's going to do it for now. It's late, so we got to get home, get to sleep. But this is going well. So I think next time we come back, we do got to fix these 2 holes. So I guess we're going to have to fire up the TIG welder. We got a few spots to patch, like this little hole. We got to weld it, this. Probably fix that little spot. And there's like 1 or 2 other spots. This doesn't matter, but I'll probably do it anyway just so it looks nice. So yeah, we're probably going to hit all those, and we're probably going to pop that out of there and just weld an AN bung so I can hook an AN hose right to it. So basically stuff like that, and we'll see. We'll go from there. It's going to get some kind of... I think I will paint it with something. Not really sure yet how we're going to do that. So if you guys have any ideas for what would just look badass, this is something that needs something special. I want this to look good. So you guys got any ideas? Please let me know. Alright guys, y'all take it easy. Hey guys, welcome back. So we're getting ready to patch a couple holes in this valve cover. So here's the first one we're going to do. I just made this piece of metal this is where the old PCV port went. So we're just going to kind of lay a piece of metal in here. Basically weld it in. That'll kind of create a floor. Then we'll flip it over. And basically we've got to build that up on top of the new metal, and then we'll eventually grind it and sand it smooth. Or at least that's the plan. This is cast aluminum that's been in oil, so it's going to be fun to weld. Actually, I hardly do aluminum welding, but funny enough, a lot of the aluminum welding I've done has been with cast aluminum, which, like I said, it's only a few applications. So I think we'll get it, but it's probably going to suck. But anyway, we're about to give this a shot. Like I said, I hardly ever do this, so I'm kind of Googling and guessing, but basically I got some tungsten I think's appropriate. We're gonna do, I don't know, like 10 or 15 CFM at the most. AC, I think we're gonna try for like 50 hertz, something like that. Let's see. I think we're supposed to, this is based on material thickness. Let's just try like, go to like 80. I really don't know where we need to be on that. So I got to figure out some of these settings. I don't really remember how to do this because I never used AC on this. But we're going to set it up for like 50 hertz and see what happens. Alright guys, check this out. So we kind of got ahead of ourselves. Let me show you what we've done. So we cut a piece of metal, laid it in here, welded it on the back side. I'll flip it over. You can see we've already done most of the work. But that's where the PCV valve hole was. So we basically just built this up with a weld, then we sanded it down, and that was pretty close, but there's a few spots left that were poking up, so then we had to touch up like 4 or 5 holes. Then we sanded it a second time, and it's pretty close. I'll admit, it does have a little bit of a curve right there, where it's not perfect, and for whatever reason, I don't really feel like messing with that. I think it's good enough. So we're going to let that go. There was a hole, you can kind of see a circle. Yeah, right where my finger is, there's a circle there. There used to be a hole. We fixed that, or we welded that one shut. That was actually easy. And now we're about to do this one. This one I drilled a long time ago, and I just don't use it anymore. That was a oil return hole back when the car had a very large turbo in the back. That was a return. So I made this piece of metal. cleaned it up. It's slightly curved. All I did was just beat on this until it fit the shape of the valve cover. I'm just going to lay that in there, like you can see. Pretty straightforward. Just chunk it in there. And we're going to tack it down, weld it out. It's probably not necessary to weld this one out, but it just makes me feel better. So we're going to weld that out. Another thing it does is it keeps oil from getting between the two. Like this weld's not really perfect, but it's decent. Well, okay, let's not say decent. But it's hard to weld to cast, for those of you that don't know. And I kind of forgot how to, you know, like the balance. There's a balance setting, and I've been struggling to figure out. I finally got it now. It seems like 30% roughly works pretty nicely. I was trying all kinds of settings earlier, so very mixed results. Anyway, got that piece. We're going to tack it in, then or weld it in, flip it over, weld the other side, sand it down, and that'll be one more hole that's been deleted from this valve cover. Okay, check it out. So this is, I think all the metal work is done. It could still use a little sanding or whatever, maybe bead blast it if I ever put my blast cabinet together. But this is what we ended up with. Man, the second time this went a lot better. So here's that first hole we fixed, kind of ugly. Here's the second one. You can see the color's different, but it actually blends in really nicely. We managed to nail that one. And if I flip it over, you'll see too the weld quality. There's the first weld. Here's the second weld. The second one's definitely better. That was mostly just having the welding settings correct, because frankly this one was probably cleaner than that. But this one had the right weld settings. That made a big difference. It welded better too. Like when I welded this, the puddle looked so nice. There was no, I mean, you can see like there's no porosity basically. There's like the tiniest pinhole right there. And I mean, look how tiny that is. So, oh look, there's a few more. Okay, just kidding. But it really did turn out pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. So, all good. I think we're just gonna clean this up and throw it on the motor as a mock-up. Probably not going to glue it down yet. I said I wasn't going to paint it, but now I really think after all this work, I got to do something to make it look better. So we're going to pause a little bit and think about it, because cleaning this, where you can get a sander on it, it goes pretty quick, but there's too many spots in here I can't really get to. And I want to try using my blast cabinet and see if I can't blast this and get it looking a lot better. But I got to finish putting the blast cabinet together. It's like, it's physically here, but there's a bunch of parts that aren't hooked up yet. If we look inside, a box full of parts, nozzle, whatever, lights, all kinds of crap. I bought a bunch of stuff to build a nice cabinet and never hooked it all up. So we need to do that. Might make that a priority. Maybe we'll do that soon. Because I kind of do, it would be a good first project to do the valve cover, to get the sucker cleaned really nice and, you know, either get it painted or coated or something. So maybe we'll work on this soon.